Hello and welcome to the CNBC-TV18 special. I'm Shireen Bhan and we're in conversation with a man who can be regarded as the father of the modern real estate business in India, the chairman of DLF, KP Singh. Mr. Singh, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18. You know, you've just written your autobiography and it's called Whatever the Odds. In that autobiography, you very clearly say that DLF should be considered a miracle in business terms. Why do you say that?
No, I don't say it should be considered as a miracle. What I say is DLF was virtually a closed business in '75.
Yeah.
And after acquiring a very good name, and after independence, this company was founded by my father-in-law. He did a fantastic job, and DLF had a great name. But then it virtually closed down. So a rebirth of DLF took place by my getting involved. And thereafter the story
you almost sold it off as well.
I did, because everything was closed at that time. The reason was that I found I was busy in my manufacturing business, and there it was the government regulations were against. The entire business of urban development was already taken over by the government. We had no money, banks were forbidden to loan. So how do you deal with it? There were completely zero business. And when there were no money, so for that only the brand was there. So it is just at that time came like I would call it entrepreneurial vision. Can I convert the brand again by persuading the government to open up this back to private sector, which was in my view a folly of the government in 1950. It should never have been closed to private sector, because that was the problem happening in the country, in our urban areas. You
know, I want to pick up on what you just said, and in fact in your book you go on to say in India all the hard work and effort can be derailed by one word: politics. And you faced the ire of politicians for almost 2 decades when you actually took on Bansi Lal in a sense, or he decided to take you on, and you write about that elaborately in your book, how an irreverent comment from a dinner guest of yours actually turned one of your most benevolent benefactors into your worst political enemy. Has the scenario changed really? Is it still as bad as it used to be when you fought that battle between the 1983 to 1996?
No, you see, their position was different, let me understand. Firstly, I would say I found the political leaders I met, they were very reasonable. You had to argue with them, you had to explain them clearly. I found them to be very, very progressive, except this. And so Bansi Lal ji was also a very progressive man. The entire state of Haryana today can boast of tourism was because of Bansi Lal ji. Bansi Lal was a great man. I had great respect for him, I still do have, I always will have. The only thing was, if something you got on his wrong side by misinformation. And you clearly got on his wrong side. I got on the wrong side for miscommunication by somebody else, not by me. And then he became one thing led to the other. It was nothing from my side. As I said, I always respect him. He is a great leader.
But the point I'm trying to actually drive at is that, you know, this was not so much about policy or about his vision for the state or that city that you were trying to build, as much as it was a fallout of a relationship between you and him. I'm asking if that situation has really changed even today. Do you face the ire of politicians, of political parties? If you have a falling out, is your business held ransom to politics even today?
No. In fact, this is a very sole example, and you saw I kept fighting and eventually I won. Because he came 4 or 5 years, then he went out, somebody else came, other people came reasonable. I have not had any experience from any political persons who has been let's say dogmatic or who have been against. You have to reason them out. Some people are more progressive with vision, some people are less progressive. But personally I have not had any problem, but you have to work hard to convince them.
Speculation and reports which have publicly been put out that members of a certain powerful family or the most powerful family in the country have invested in your company. I know it's a publicly listed company and you've gone on record to say that it's public information for everybody to see. But how do you respond to the insinuation then?
Anybody can come around, anybody can invest with us in our properties. It does not mean that if a political party person comes around and he comes to invest, we take investors with us for the progress of our business. It's not necessary that a particular person will do particular things just for that. It is any person, like tomorrow if you want to come and invest, I'll be the happiest person to have a charming person like you to come and invest with us.
I unfortunately don't have that kind of money. But are you then saying that there is truth to the rumors and the speculation that there is a political family that has invested or has linkages with DLF?
No.
Publicly or privately?
There is nothing called rumor. Fact is, there will be hundreds of people. We must have developed, I don't know, I'm sure we must be having almost 1 million customers.
I'm not talking about houses. I'm not talking about them having bought DLF houses.
Our motto of the company is that whoever invests with our company must make money. That's how they are our biggest ambassadors. So it's immaterial as to which person, to me it makes no difference as to which political party. Any person can come around.
Okay. Let me now talk to you about an issue that currently is being talked about in India, debated in India, and perhaps will soon be taken through Parliament as well, and that is the land acquisition process. Now, you extensively write about how you went about creating one of the largest land banks in the country, which then became this modern city, the national capital region of Gurgaon. Now, you clearly say and you believe that just paying compensation to farmers is not enough. There has to be awareness within industrial houses that they have to go several steps ahead in ensuring proper rehabilitation. Do you believe the land acquisition bill, as has been currently drafted and is being perhaps will be debated in Parliament, is the way forward?
Issue is simple. If you examine the old Act of Acquisition, which is 1984 or some kind of thing, is so archaic.
Yeah.
It gives a person historical compensation which is completely not in tune with the market value.
Right.
And stops there. You see, please understand, for a farmer, land is an emotional subject.
Sure.
You have to deal it carefully with the farmer. It's not just merely paying and getting his land. It is to ensure that the land money which he gets is put to productive use by the family, so that the children are not on road again. Because invariably what happens is they use marriages, buying cars, and they're back on the road.
Absolutely.
Now, therefore, a rehabilitation process and holding hand as an elder brother of the family is a very important process.
Do you believe the land acquisition and rehabilitation policy is the way forward, or do you have issues with what has been proposed by the government?
In my view, land rehabilitation which has been addressed is a very welcome sign. The only feeling I feel is sometimes to correct the imbalance, you can go overboard.
Has the government gone overboard?
Little overboard, in my view. For example, it is not possible, for instance, when you acquire and you get 80% people have to give a consent to acquire land. It's completely wrong. When you acquire land, yes, you go around paying the good compensation and do rehabilitation measure, but getting consent of 80% people it won't work out. Two people don't agree. Then what do? You're back to square one. So
you have an issue with the 80% consent, but about the pricing?
No, I have an issue with one issue. I have no issue with rehabilitation, which I thought high time government did it and they've done rightly. Compensation, this whatever percentage is all okay. Irrespective of which sector of the economy, whether public or private sector, urbanization, if there is a project, it should be a public purpose of the extreme order.
Okay.
Which means government without any rider should have the right to acquire land, whether it's public or private sector.
So if it were to be passed in the manner and in which it has currently been proposed and drafted, do you believe the lives of real estate developers like yours, as well as the vision and the possibility of creating urban townships or large-scale industrial projects are going to be hampered significantly?
I am definitely and firmly of the opinion that if you do not change this provision of
80%.
Not 80, I'll say urbanization for any project.
Okay, the public use.
For anything, whether private or public.
Sure.
You can bring that so long as that township has got 25% for the low and economically weaker section. That can, as long as you satisfy that, then whether it's public or private, land should be acquired, it should be a public purpose, because what you do not want is, in the development of cities, you have slums coming out of pockets which are unacquired. Now, which are unacquired, people make unauthorized buildings there. So you will have authorized in one side in some pocket, unauthorized on the other side, what India will have? Utter mess. So you have seen in future, keeping McKinsey into view,
got that.
Doubling the city, doubling the cities means massive urbanization right now, and that can only be done by a large scale acquisition.
Okay.
And giving encouraging private sector and public sector to work together.
I now want to move and talk to you about the evolution that DLF has actually seen. And your book is titled Whatever the Odds, and DLF has survived against the odds. You've had a situation where, licenses have been taken back, licenses have been put back and restored by the government. You've had a situation where you haven't been able to acquire land, where only the government was able to acquire land, private developers were kept out. In all of those situations, you have managed to sort of make your way through. Given the current situation that you're faced with, where you are facing not just ire of the government or politicians, but ire of your own consumers and your own customers, how does it make you feel?
When I started in the 80s, it was highly complex. Everything was closed.
Right.
Regulations were also completely archaic.
Right.
So I didn't get dejected. That's why I say, what are the odds? I went about firstly acquiring knowledge, exactly what is town planning, what are the laws which affect this thing, A to Z, my self-knowledge.
Right.
And then I went about, in my sense of judgment, how to go about in advocating with the government to change, tweak the archaic regulation, which was time-consuming because it meant it had to be lobbied through bureaucracy, through political thing, which I went through systematically one by one. It is frustrating sometimes. You don't get the same speed. But finally, end of the day, it happened.
But the point I'm trying to drive at is that while you went through this frustration of dealing with bureaucrats and dealing with politicians and regulations, your customers seem to be frustrated with the way the DLF is approaching them. There seems to have been a breakdown of relationships between a large or a significant portion of your customers. The matter has now gone to the Competition Commission of India. The Competition Commission of India ruled against DLF. The matter now stands with the tribunal where there has been a stay. How does it make you feel that your own customers are taking you on?
Please understand one thing, that customers in India will always agitate because there is no one method known in this world, where you see as you grow, some people are going to be frustrated. Okay, there is nothing, I would like to know anywhere in the world, when you do thousands of people, every person comes on board. Some people say this, some people say, there are problems of regulations because they take limited things so that you understand the implication. Not that Competition Commission case I would not comment because it's sub judice. And you will see when the end result comes, God willing, we will succeed. But I'm not commenting it at all because it will be incorrect for me to comment.
Sure,
because
I understand that, but do you feel that perhaps if DLF had handled this better, if you had engaged with your customers better, communicated with your customers better, perhaps you would not have been sitting at this juncture where you've got a 630 crore rupee penalty been awarded by the Competition Commission of India?
This is a hazard of growth and development in country, and it will always happen that sometimes some judgments will come around. Fortunately, there are court of laws. Fortunately, there are cases of appeal. You have to fight it out. Some people will always create trouble. The fact of the matter is, we do not do wrong things in this company. You will see immediately a public perception. Maybe some people are dissatisfied in this position. This is a process which has always happened. 100% satisfaction you can't. On our side, we try and do what we believe is correct, why we believe is right, and within the regulations, if the regulations allow you to make certain number of floors, and we know, and if a person enters in a contract with me and with eyes open that look, eventually there are going to be so many floors. Now when the permission comes around, you add floors.
So you're saying that there was no communication issue from the DLF's point of view, and that this is up to the consumer. They walked into it with their own eyes open.
No, it's not. I open with contracts. Now, if you can say tomorrow, I signed a wrong contract, but that's why I don't want to get involved into, because this is sub judice issue.
Yeah.
But I can only say DLF does no wrong, knowingly. Unknowingly, yes. Inadvertently, mistakes can happen with every organization. Which can, but knowingly, as a policy, my son Rajiv drives the company. I know his philosophy. He is a very hard taskmaster. He's very clear-headed completely. He makes no bones about it. And he deals it in a manner what is according to regulation and law. Sometimes people misunderstand. Now, when you have thousands of customers, some people are there for the heck of getting into litigation. We deal with them. And hopefully we'll be able to settle. So that doesn't disturb us because it is a process of development of a real estate company.
The succession plan, as far as you are concerned, is clear. That means from you, your son takes over. But what about the next generation? Is there a clear succession plan? Because your granddaughters are part of the business, your daughter is part of the business. And what about your shareholding? Is it clear whether it will be split equally between all of them? Is the succession plan clearly put in place?
No, you see, as I'm concerned with my taking a view, who is going to run this company, who succeeds me to run the company, because running a company, because there are shareholders involved.
Sure.
Rajiv is not because he is my son, let me tell you. He is perhaps, please take it from me, he is one of the finest entrepreneur and a professional entrepreneur India has today in real estate. As you know, he's a highly qualified MIT.
From MIT,
and all. But he's otherwise a very bright person. He's running the company the way a very top-class company should be run. Because today, DLF is rated one of the top companies in the world. Is by him, not by me. I went around, looked after him, but he has grown the company into various facets. What happens later on is too early. He will take a view.
But what about your shareholding and how it will be split and divided? Will it be equally split and divided?
No, these are a matter of pure and simple. When I say Rajiv runs the show, it is his. I don't differentiate between the executive control and ownership has to go together. Otherwise, you can't run the company. This is not a so we have got a very nice arrangement. Everybody is very happy. All my children are very happy.
Divesting non-core assets, getting out of businesses that you don't believe you would like to continue with in the long term. These are your ways of addressing the future and consolidating the future growth of DLF. So this whole business of getting out of non-core assets, is that the way forward?
You see, today the biggest growth is going to be in real estate because as prosperity comes all over India, the city, people want homes. We are leaders in this business. So why do you want to get into something else and give this leadership to somewhere? So I think Rajiv has taken a right decision to concentrate in the core business, which he is doing it, and only divest those areas where he believes are not going to be. But these are not hard and fast rules.
So what is your own outlook now? Because, you know, we're once again going through the kind of pains that we saw in 2008. So far, real estate developers continue to be bullish and confident about demand not flagging, but we've seen interest rates go up significantly. We continue to see the external environment, both globally as well as domestically, change, not for the better, but actually for the worse. What is your own outlook and assessment of the way things are as far as your business is concerned today?
No, you see, let's put firstly, before I say about my business is connected with the general economy of the country. Anything which creates job and brings money, encourage it. Now this FDI retail coming around, creating job, farmer is a winner, getting more jobs, nobody is a loser. Why? Why oppose? There will be more competition. So in other words, and naturally once the growth takes place, real estate is a beneficiary of that because more houses will be requirement. So all in all, I am for growth model, frankly. And not to say, don't lose sight of inflation. Inflation, but don't take inflation as the only factor and kill growth. Growth should not be killed. That's one point.
So, you know, where do you go from here? You've actively handed over the reins of the company to your son and he's been managing the business. You continue to be the chairman. How long do you want to continue to do this? And do you want to now step back, perhaps, you know, explore some of your other passions that you had to give up on because of DLF?
Yes, no, actually I'm not actively involved. It's my son, and I've told him already, my son, that he must now have his own team in which he's actively looking around soon. But I'm concentrating as it is now because I'm passionately involved in DLF Foundation. I do believe God has given us so much. God has been kind to save my wife by so many, everywhere factors. The odds, there is some extra force which has helped me to fight odds, because my life is full of odds, frankly. So then time comes around, an awakening in you. Awakening has come in myself to do something for the society. So for that we made DLF Foundation. It's very actively involved in doing a lot of philanthropic initiatives. I'm personally devoting myself, and I'm finding it exciting. So hopefully, by the time I fade away, let's say in another 9-10 years time, I'm able to write a biography. But I've written autobiography of my last life, but somebody can write about what I have been able to do. That will be my fulfillment. So my active involvement in doing this philanthropic initiative to foundation is my passion now.
You know, in your book you write about how one of your mentors taught you an important lesson in life, and that is austerity in times of prosperity. So when you did your birthday celebrations and brought down Shakira and half of Bollywood down, there was a lot of question marks and a lot of raised eyebrows on why the need to spend all of this kind of money.
Yes, no, if I had not taken 75 decisions, DLF would not have been there, the story would not have been there.
Yeah.
We would not have been where we are, no question. And you have seen my life, how I put, there used to be 19-20 hours working for years and years, and I put it.
So you've earned your right to dance with Shakira.
So no, their point was that it is very coincidence that their mother and father's, these two milestones are happening within a week of each other.
Okay.
And they said, please let us do something. We are doing, because this money is not spent by me. This is spent by them out of their bank funds.
Well, KP Singh, it's been a full life, a life well lived. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18, and we wish you the very best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
With that, it is time for us to wrap up the CNBC-TV18 special. We'll see you again next week. Till then, from the entire team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.